We all know it's important to stay in good physical shape, so every year we get a checkup with the doctor to make sure we're on track. But what about our finances? If you're looking to retire, it's incredibly important to have those in good shape too. That's where Phillis Sachs-Pilvinus comes in. She's been guiding her clients to and through retirement for over 30 years, making sure their retirement accounts are prepared to go the distance. It's time to retire financially fit with Phillis. Here's your host, Jen Rizak.
Longer lives, higher costs, stagnant wages, fewer pensions, these things can spell trouble for your assets in retirement. And even wealthier baby boomers are not immune to these concerns, with 13% of boomers in the highest income quartile projected to likely run out of money over a 35-year retirement. So today, we want to help you identify some of those potential weak spots in your income strategy so you can retire financially fit. Thanks so much for joining us this morning on Retire Financially Fit with Phillis. I am Jen Rizak. Happy to be here with Phillis Sachs-Pilvinus. She is founder and president of PSP and Associates. She's author of the book Creating Calm Amidst the Storm. And Phillis, always a pleasure. I hope you're doing great. These are some kind of surprising numbers that we're going to be diving into here on the show today.
I am doing great, Jen, and I hope the same for you. And yes, for me, I wouldn't say they're necessarily surprising, but very interesting.
All right, that's fair, because you follow this stuff all the time, and you have seen a lot in a few decades of helping people with retirement. So yeah, I'm guessing maybe you aren't terribly surprised when you see some of the likelihood of people running out of money, because there's just so much. There's so much that we don't think about. The everyday person doesn't think about when they're thinking about their financial future. So
and here's the reason that I say that. Even for those who have really done a great job accumulating money, especially in this great market space that we've experienced for quite a while, people focus, they're still in the accumulation phase, and they focus on how much they can make and not necessarily on how much they can keep, or planning for a longer lifespan, or planning for a healthcare crisis. So I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but I can go through many, many scenarios, many stories where people had a lot of money in the market, too much exposure, didn't know it, and then 2001 hit. Those things overnight. If your portfolio drops 30% and you sell off shares that you're never going to get back again, that can cause somebody to outlive their money. So it is essential to really treat what you've accumulated like a paycheck. Understand when you need the money to do what and when, and build a plan around that for certainty. You know, as you enter into retirement, it's not doubling or tripling your money necessarily. It's about getting to do what you need to do under any type of circumstance. I always say this, we build boring retirement plans so people can have exciting retirements. And just replace the paycheck. Make sure we account for inflation. And boy, we're starting to see some inflation really rear its ugly head. Everybody, is becoming attuned to that. So how do you retire? If you think about it, if you retire at 65, you could potentially have 30 years without a paycheck. How do you do that? Especially most people don't have a pension, or if they do, they don't get cost of living increases. How do you do that and be assured that you don't outlive your money? It's all about having a really proactive plan, having the type of diversification that you need aligned with the plan. So for somebody listening today, you've got to understand how much risk you're taking and whether it's appropriate for you and your goals, regardless of how much money you've saved, how much money you've earned. You're not immune to this. I hate to say it. Things have got to change when you get close to retirement. You've also got to be aware of the tax consequences in the future. If you've got pre-tax accounts that have grown without any taxes yet, you have a huge surprise if you don't know your future tax liability and have a plan that really has a distribution strategy in mind that keeps taxes in mind, keeps you tax efficient. So I'm not surprised by the numbers, because most people don't make the transition from the accumulation phase, saving, being proud of the number that you've accumulated, the heavy lifting, into this next phase. So that's why we encourage you every single week, all the time, to pick up the phone and call us to make sure that you're retirement ready, that you're going to get to and through retirement independently and on your own terms. That's what our Retire Fit analysis is about, to take what you've worked hard for, all that money, and make sure that you do the right things to proactively plan for that retirement on your own terms. So I welcome you to pick up the phone at 623-792-5496. Again, 623-792-5496. And, when I look at these numbers, what I'll say to you is if you've saved enough for retirement, really, this is unnecessary. With a good plan, you'll have calm amidst any storm. And you know what? If you haven't saved quite enough, you really want to understand that today so that you can make provisions. Maybe you work part-time. Maybe you work a few more years longer. Maybe you lower your expectations in retirement. Without a plan, it's really hard to make sure that you're on track. And this is the biggest fear people have today. Whether they realize it or not, sometimes they don't even realize that they're concerned about outliving their money. And it is unnecessary, but it starts with not just great returns on your money, but a great plan that's proactive, not reactive, because trust me, I've been doing this a long time. Markets correct, health changes. All of a sudden, you think you're in a low tax rate, and then you have a retirement plan that you have a tax bomb in your lap. Unfortunately, spouses die, which means you actually pay Uncle Sam more taxes. So that's why I say I'm not surprised that even high earners have the potential of outliving their money. Again, pick up the phone and call us at 623-792-5496. We'll help you make sure that all of your years of hard work and saving and sacrifice are put together in a plan that will plan for the worst, hope for the best, a boring retirement plan so that you can have an exciting retirement.
That number again, 623-792-5496. And I love that. Put together this boring plan so you can have an exciting retirement, because we do get all caught up in the big returns and all these exciting things. But that really feeds into some of these numbers that we're talking about here, Phyllis. When you look at, and these numbers that we're talking about today, they come from the Employee Benefit Research Institute. They're projecting that 40% of all U.S. households where the head of the household is between 35 and 64, 40% of these people are likely to run short of money over a 35-year retirement. And we do, Phyllis, we get so caught up in saving and have I saved enough? How do we make sure we're on track to save enough? Which is an important question. But it sounds like when you're talking about all these risks, we almost need to think a little bit more, not about am I saving enough, but am I doing the right things with this money to protect it? It's almost like we're asking the wrong questions sometimes with this.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And here's the thing, running out of money is still, or should be, the biggest fear for so many of the people that I work with. People get caught up, like you just said, at how much they've saved. But what you really need to think about is how much will you spend in retirement? What could it take for you to live your ideal lifestyle for the next 30 years? Paint that picture. Understand that. If you're listening to me right now and you don't have an income strategy, I really invite you to call so we can help you create a budget to figure out how much you'll need for the retirement you've been dreaming about. I'll help you uncover the main risk posing a threat to that retirement. Things like inflation, stock market volatility, the potential tax increases, and skyrocketing healthcare costs. I'll help you learn about the options, the different options for generating that income in retirement. And I'll help you learn about how to keep your current standard of living even as costs increase in retirement. And here's the thing, it's completely complimentary to do this analysis, and there's no obligation. But if you're listening to the show today and you say, yeah, I've accumulated all this money and I think I'm okay, or I'm not sure, this is for you. I want you to pick up the phone and call me ASAP at 623-792-5496. Let's not think, let's know that we're in good shape for the retirement that you've worked your entire life for.
That number again, 623-792-5496. I'm going to repeat some of these numbers that we talked about earlier. Projections from the Employee Benefit Research Institute show 40% of households where the head of the household is between 35 and 64 are likely to run short of money in retirement. Even wealthier baby boomers are not immune, with 13% of boomers in the highest income quartile. Those folks are projected to run out of money over a 35-year retirement. So you're right to worry about possibly running out of money.
Yeah. The things we're going to talk about, they're designed to make sure that your money won't run out, no matter how long you live in retirement. We're not trying to double or triple your money at this time, and most people don't really want that. But we want to help make sure you don't end up outliving your savings. 623-792-5496.
You do want to take advantage of this special offer from Phillis to help make sure that you won't run out of money. And you may even boost your returns over time. So we encourage you to get started today. 623-792-5496. Again, that number is 623-792-5496. Now, we all know we'll need income in retirement. Income is king in retirement. But one thing we might not know is how all of those different income sources, all those different retirement accounts, how those things will be taxed. This is a huge factor when it comes to making sure your savings will last. You have to understand the tax liabilities with all those different retirement accounts that you have. That's coming up on the other side of the break. We'll get into that here in just a moment. This is Retire Financially Fit with Phillis. We'll be back.
Time for today's trivia question. Which company created the first public pension program in the U.S.? Is it A, American Express Company, or B, Ford Motor Company? The answer coming up in 60 seconds.
If you owed almost $28 trillion and you didn't have the money to pay it off, what would you need to do? Make a lot more money, right? Well, now America's debt is more than $28 trillion, and taxes are at historically low levels. It doesn't take a genius to realize taxes will probably go up. Now, think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now, when rates are low, or later, when rates are much higher? Whether you should pay taxes now or in retirement depends on a lot of things. Phillis, Sachs Pilvinus, and the team at PSP & Associates know what to look for. Call 623-792-5496 to set up a visit with Phillis, Sachs Pilvinus, and the team at PSP & Associates. That's 623-792-5496. When taxes go up, will you be ready? Call now, 623-792-5496. Firm offers insurance services and may not give tax advice. Investment advisory services are offered through PSP Financial Services, LLC, an Arizona-registered investment advisor.
Which company created the first public pension program in the U.S.? Is it A, American Express Company, or B, Ford Motor Company? The answer is A, American Express. If you would like a second opinion regarding your portfolio, schedule your complimentary review today with PSP & Associates. Call 623-792-5496. That's 623-792-5496.
Thanks for joining us today on Retire Financially Fit with Phillis. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Phillis Sachs Pilvinus. She is founder and president of PSP & Associates. She is the author of the book, Creating Calm Amidst the Storm. And we've been talking today about the concerns people have about running out of money in retirement. Now, we all know we need income in retirement. We're going to have bills to pay. And if we want to take those vacations, there's got to be a way to pay for it. But one thing we might not know is how all those different income sources, all those different retirement accounts will end up being taxed. You have Phyllis, I've heard you say this before, we have a silent partner in so many of these places where we put our money, and a lot of times we don't even realize it, or we don't realize the impact there.
Oh, yeah, I've got to tell you, this is one of the biggest surprises for people when they come in to see me, when I show them their future tax liability. They have no idea really, or they hadn't thought about. Nobody talked to them about that tax bomb that's just lurking in the future. I don't know about you, Jen, but I really believe that with all the spending, and I think this is a nonpartisan statement, with all the spending going on, taxes are going to go up. It's just a matter of when, and it will show up for everybody. This is one of the biggest areas. This is why I call it the redheaded stepchild. Most people are not talked to about, don't understand this. Nobody's talking to them about this future tax liability. They're making money on their accounts. But if they're, pre-tax accounts, they're making that money, most of it for Uncle Sam and not themselves. So this is huge. This is really, really important. And part of our Retire Fit analysis breaks it down in real simple terms. One piece of it is we have 3 different tax buckets, and we take where your investments are right now, and we show you what's always taxed, what's going to be taxed later, and what's going to be taxed probably never. And when people see those buckets and they see what's always being taxed and what's going to be taxed later, it becomes really clear that perhaps they have a future tax bomb. And most people coming into me, if they retire in their 60s, come in saying, geesh, my taxes are a lot lower than they were before. I don't really have a tax problem, because they're usually using their money that they've already paid taxes on and their Social Security and maybe a pension. But what they don't realize is they've got their pre-tax retirement account just growing and growing and growing for the future when Uncle Sam comes knocking at required minimum distribution age, which is age 72 now, unless you turned 70 and a half before they changed that rule in 2019 under the Secure Act. Mm-hmm. And that's just a big bomb lurking. So to break down some of the areas that you want to consider, some of the things you want to consider now about taxes is, how are they taxed? Any account where you've yet to pay the taxes, you will pay them. Those are your pre-tax accounts, which sounded great when you were saving into them. Your 401ks, your 403bs, your 457s, your IRAs. You have not paid a penny of taxes on that. So when that comes out, you're going to pay taxes, and that can be a huge tax bomb, something you need to be aware of. Not only will you pay taxes on those dollars, but your Social Security could potentially be taxed even higher than it might already be taxed, because there's thresholds in retirement. If you earn too much, they're going to go back and tax up to 85% of your Social Security.
Wow. Yeah,
that's huge. And your pensions, they're taxed, they're ordinary income, just like a paycheck, minus the payroll taxes. Mm-hmm. A lot of times people have mutual funds in a trust account or a brokerage account. And what they don't realize is they're getting a lot of phantom income. And I call it phantom income because when you have a mutual fund, you don't own the shares of the individual stocks. You own shares in the mutual fund. So when something's traded inside that fund, the actual shares, they pass on the gains to you. By law, they have to. Even if you didn't benefit from that, you're going to get a capital gains tax that you have to show on your tax return. I just showed this to somebody else the other day, and they happen to be affluent clients. They have a trust account that they're not using that money. And just because of capital gains and dividends that they earned last year, they volunteered, as I would say, to add about $25,000 to their tax return. They had no idea.
Whoa.
They had no idea.
Wow.
So you want to understand how everything in your brokerage account is taxed and whether you could be more efficient. A lot of people don't realize if you have municipal bonds, that still counts towards the calculation for the tax on your Social Security. If you've got those CDs in the bank, certificates of disappointment, that feeble interest that you earn is tax. You get a 1099 every year, and you're going to pay tax on that.
Nickel and dime you on some of those things.
Gosh.
Right.
You know, your dividends in your stock portfolio, some of those have preferential treatment called qualified dividends, but some of them are ordinary income. So we need to know all of this, and it's huge. I got to tell you, and this surprises people because no, I am not a CPA. We work closely with CPAs to check the accuracy of our numbers. But one of the biggest areas that we're able to help people in is tax planning. When you understand how everything is taxed in your holdings, and you understand what it's going to cost you over your lifetime in taxes, just at the rates we currently know, and then we back into it and set up a proper distribution strategy, taking it from the right places at the right times, you really, for the first time in your life, can control your taxes in a big way. We help people save tens of thousands of dollars by understanding their future tax liability and how everything they own is being taxed and moving things around accordingly. It's huge. If you're listening today and you don't know how everything you have is being taxed, or the rhyme or reason, or whether you're as tax efficient as you can be, or whether there's a bomb in your future, gosh, you need to pick up the phone. You need to call us and let us do a tax analysis, 2 pieces. Again, we'll do those little tax buckets that will show you how everything you own is being taxed, when and how, what rate. And it's eye-opening. And then we'll take if you have a retirement account, like most people, a pre-tax account, we'll show you that future tax liability. And I'll tell you to hold on tight because most people have no idea what's coming down the road. So pick up the phone and call us at 623-792-5496. At a minimum, let us run that for you.
That number again, 623-792-5496. Such an important conversation today to talk a little bit about some of our different options for income and retirement, and then understanding what's going on the tax side of this. Phyllis, what do you say? Should we go ahead and get into a mailbag question? We have a few minutes before we're out of time today. And
sure.
Got a question here from Marty in Sun City who wants to know how to learn if a Roth conversion is a strategy that he should be using. So what are some things to think about there when it comes to that Roth conversion idea?
Hey, Marty, great question. Thanks for asking it, because I know that's on a lot of people's mind. And the question to this is, it's not a one-size-fits-all answer. You got to know all of your circumstances, do a tax analysis, but more than likely, with tax rates going up, it certainly is something that everybody should be looking at. Let's do the math. Let's figure out the numbers to see what your tax liability is now and what it will be later if you delay taking money out of your retirement accounts or doing Roth conversions. So the answer to that question really, Marty, is let's do an analysis. Let's let verified numbers speak for itself, or get one done somewhere else, but we're happy to help you. That's the key. But asking the question and getting the answers is fundamentally important to getting it right. So I welcome you and anybody else who hasn't investigated the numbers regarding Roth conversions to pick up the phone and call us. Let us put the numbers in front of you. No obligation. It's complimentary. 623-792-5496. Let's understand that. Really important question. One of the biggest reasons that people have an issue is they follow what their rich cousin did, or they follow what their neighbor did, and it really may not be applicable for you. I'm just going to tell you this. Today's federal income taxes might be the lowest you're going to see for the rest of your life. After-tax rates went down with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, but those tax rates expire come 2026. When you wake up in January 2026, those rates are going to be higher. And there are proposals to increase taxes working their way through Congress as we speak. So at this point, it's not a matter of if, but when taxes are going to go up. And here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to assume that you won't be impacted by these proposed tax increases because you're not a big corporation or you're not wealthy enough. I bet just about everyone listening has a few areas where you could become a little more tax efficient with your hard-earned retirement dollars. So look, I really want to help you understand the potential impact taxes can have on your retirement savings. I want to help you learn about ways to reduce or possibly eliminate taxes in retirement. So the number to call is 623-792-5496.
It could mean tens of thousands of dollars back in your pocket. 623-792-5496. That's all the time we have for this week. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk to you next week. See you then. Investment advisory services are offered through PSP Financial Services, LLC, an Arizona registered investment advisor. PSP Financial Services is an independent financial services firm that helps people create retirement strategies using a variety of insurance and investment products. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to safety, security, or guaranteed lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investment products. Insurance and annuity product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company. PSP Financial Services, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. You should talk to a qualified professional before making any decisions about your personal situation. We are not affiliated with the U.S. government or any governmental agency.